Hey everyone, this is James, and this is my 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. This is BTC USDT, and it's on the Binance Exchange, and today is March 15th. It's 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and let me go over a couple of things first. First of all, this is not investment advice. Second of all, I always like to go over where we started from, and basically where we started was from the top, and now we've worked our way to the bottom. And yes, that was a joke. And also, you can see the volatility here, and you can see that it's smoothed out over here. So you can see that the volatilities, it's lessened as time has progressed. Now, also, too, I do believe that tonight we are going to have more downside, and I think you're going to definitely see that as this video progresses. So right now we're 262. We're already down about 10 bucks, but anyways, right here you can see that we have lower highs, okay? And about right here is where it starts again. Now, this was a very, very marginal one. This so far is holding true. And depending on where we go tonight, we can just keep stair-stepping down. Now, watch the bottom. Watch the lows. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen over here. We've kind of changed a little bit of direction up here. So, now the question is, do we put in a lower low or do we put in a higher low? I think there's still a possibility for a higher low. And I think that would be a very good thing for the overall market. However, when you look at it on the bigger picture, it obviously looks pretty grim, especially from the recent price action. Now, in my prior videos, I've talked about how this recent slide right here was looking eerily similar to right here. Sorry, I messed that up. So you can see the little shimmy, the little wedge, the little double bottom right here, to a false breakout, to then a rollover. And that's kind of what we have here, a little double bottom, false breakout, like another little wedge, and then you're kind of rolling back over. Now we're kind of having a trend reversal, but to me this is what's called a sucker's rally, like a little guppy rally right here. So this gets the eager bulls on board, and then boom, they get dumped into. If we come back to the 7,700 range, okay, look, we're already dropping. You can already see, I don't know if you can see it on your phone. Let me just zoom in a little quick because I can still do the video from the inside. So that way you can watch this 4-hour bar unfold right here, because I think we're going to head into probably a brutal night, especially if this area is taken out. So if the 7,700 range is taken out on the Binance Exchange, we are going to head much lower. That lower point, especially if we waterfall, look at where I'm drawing right now. This is literally 63, 6,200. So if we have a waterfall drop like we did in the slide to 6,000, we could easily hit this zone, potentially go for a double bottom. But I think at that point, if we're going to build up that much momentum, we're probably going to tear through the bottom like a bowling ball would tear through a wet paper towel. So we'll see what happens there, though. It's all really going to depend on tonight into tomorrow. And right now, the overnight market, I like to call them the Vikings, are up to bat. And they are going to wreak havoc either way. They're either going to run price as high as they possibly can, or they are going to destroy the market overnight. Now, a couple of things I noticed. The futures market has quite a few gaps on the BTC futures contract, so typically those do get filled. Those are at much lower levels. We could just waterfall into tonight to fill that area, and then maybe have a possible reversal from there. What I also think too is that GBTC, which is the fund that trades on the stock exchange, it trades in the over-the-counter, that fund itself was rather lackluster today. So there's really been no belief in that individual fund. Now typically these are telling signs of the future for Bitcoin, because those investments are also made by investors trying to play the action in Bitcoin, and those and the futures contracts typically run like running line or sometimes ahead of Bitcoin. And then also GBTC had a ton of action. I mean, that fund was crazy. Well, not fund, but that stock was crazy, especially back here as I go back into time, like earlier in this year and late last year. That fund, or when the fund started, about earlier this year is when it really started to pick up steam and really get crazy. So those are two indicators that I watch. I also have my line set. You can see the positive line set, which is the green line set. You can see the negative line set, which is the red line set. Also, you have the gray line set right here that you might not be able to see. That is the old downtrend that we've used as a springboard. So Now we've kind of stayed on the outside of that area right here, but you can see the identical nature of this red slope and the identical nature of the gray downslope. We are still within the green slope, okay? If we can maintain this area, I do think there's a possible bounce inbound. However, what we're going to do, if we do that, guess what we're going to do? We're probably going to flag out like this, and this is going to turn into a giant bear flag, probably once again, unless we get some crazy vertical price and a breakout of roughly maybe the 9,500, 9,600 zone. Otherwise, we are going to churn like this, build up the momentum, and boom, break back through. So now I talked about the energy that was built here in my prior videos. You can see what obviously has happened. I do not think the downfall is done yet, unless this positive slope stays intact and price decides to take off from that slope. Otherwise, we are going to continue some multiplier of this range, and that could be 2 to 3 to 4 times the range. And if we do waterfall into tonight, into tomorrow, I am telling you it is going to be brutal. And I do not think we're going to get a double bounce, because when you look at the overall market, and you look at what I talked about earlier, right? Let me just draw this real quick. It's probably going to look crazy, you know? But when you look at this, okay, that's what it looks like. It looks like all the price. Now, this area, this last piece that I just drew right here, yeah, who knows what's going to happen there. But you can see that even when we come here, we're still forming the lower lows. So it's like this river that's just flowing downward. And that is literally the flow of the energy behind the price action in Bitcoin. And all price action is the energy between buyers and sellers. And what we can clearly see in this big picture is that all of the buyers, the sellers are dominating it. Let me see something real quick. I think I can hide them. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So we can see clearly what is going on in this picture. Okay, the only hope right now for Bitcoin, and I'm not trying to create fear or anything, this is just a logical, conversation that I'm having based on the price action in Bitcoin, is that we put in a higher low. If not, you can obviously see, if you just track your eyes from left to right, you can see that literally we could draw a line right through the center, and you can see exactly the direction that price is going, okay? Even if we zoom all the way out here, there's nothing that even shows that really price is continuing upward. You can see how heavy price is falling downward. Price got very thin. It got very vertical, all right? The structure here is very vertical in the early. I'm talking last year. From about mid to late last year, price got extremely vertical. There's no structure here. Look how much more structure there is on the left-hand side. If you look at where my dotted line is right now, on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, there's so much more structure, and that structure is all pointing downward. So the only thing that's going to change this is if we create a higher low and we start to slope back upward. So let me turn back on my tools real quick. All right. And basically what we would follow is something something on a much less slope than what the green line set is on. So I do think that if we put in a higher low, it'll probably be somewhere maybe around in this range, maybe just a little bit lower, but you can obviously see how that is going to change for the overall long-term market. And I think that would be a positive indicator, because I think it would end up like the stock market or like the fiat market, where we have this nice gradual increase. And yeah, we'll still have spikes here and there, and we'll still have bull market, bear market, etc. But I think that's what ultimately would need to happen for this market to survive for the long term, and to smooth out all the erratic nature that we see. Obviously, you can see that the erratic nature is being somewhat smoothed out, but there's still some crazy wild swings in Bitcoin, okay? So that's pretty much it from like a bigger perspective picture. For me to nail it on down, I'm trying to make this video not too long, but there's a lot to talk about here. What would have to occur? Like I said, the 7,700 range has to be held. If the 7,700 range gives out on the Binance exchange, roughly like 7,650 to 7,700, if this gives out, we're heading lower, and it's going to be brutal, and I think it's going to be more of a waterfall drop, because then the real fear is going to set in, because everyone's expecting this. Everyone in this market, okay, not everyone, but a large majority of people in the crypto market, all I hear, all I see all the time is buy the dip, buy the dip. Buy the dip. Everyone's been conditioned to buy the dip and hold for the pie in the sky figures out there, okay? I've never once in my entire life, unless, on maybe big companies or something like that, to where big investors have bought the dips, but typically they make those decisions not because it's dipping, but on much broader perspective. And if that's what you're doing, then there's no reason to even watch this analysis. You need to literally just shut your phone off, shut your computer off, and not even pay attention to price until 5-10 years from now, and see what happens with Bitcoin. But everyone's been conditioned to this buy the dip market. So if I was a manipulator in this market and I had a big I had a big stake in Bitcoin and I was trying to get out, what I would do is buy big positions, right, with maybe, I don't know, maybe 10-20% of my capital, run price up like so, get people to chase price, because I already know what's psychologically going to happen when there's a dip and there's a big buy. I already know what's going to happen. It's been plastered all over the media. It's been plastered all over social media. It's been plastered everywhere. I already know what the market's conditioned to do. So why would I, as a big investor, big player in the market, not take advantage of it? That'd be exactly what I would do. And then I would dump into this market. And I think that's exactly what we see. We see these V-bottoms, right? We see these wild and crazy swings. I mean, look at this. Look at the insanity here. This is, I mean, it's just wild and crazy all over the place. Like, Bitcoin doesn't know what it wants to do. But if I was a big player, that's exactly what I would do. I would take advantage of the small people, the guppies. That's like the terminology between the whales and the guppies, and I would abuse it as much as I possibly could. And that is honestly what I think is happening at the end of the day, and that is why when we look at the bigger picture of everything, okay? Now, this is just my opinion. You might be able to call it a conspiracy or whatever, but that's exactly what I would do if I was a big player. That's exactly what happens in other markets, so I don't see why it would not happen here. And to churn themselves out of their positions, and you can see that the volatility is smoothing out, the highs are getting lower, which means there's not as many buyers coming in. There's more sellers than there's buyers. So if I had big stakes, and we're talking about a market that is heavily dominated by a few players, they all can't dump at once. What do they have to do? Slowly dump. And they have to create wild volatility in a market that's been preconditioned to buy the dip and go crazy, because everyone's going to get rich, because all the media outlets, right, are taking advantage of these, of the retail traders out there. They call them guppies or whatever, and they're blasting the media with crazy headlines. I mean, you got people saying $1 million, I think, by the end of the year. Like, what kind of insane mindset is that? $1 million, for Bitcoin? Like, come on, man. That's just crazy. Like, we're at like 8,000. Like, seriously? What kind of return is that? But anyways, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I'm just trying to just have like a normal conversation of what is going on, what I see is going on in the market. And yeah, I could easily say, oh my God, we're going to the moon, and I could hype everything up to suck as many people in as possible for subscribers and followers and etc., and just focus solely on that instead of talking about the slow withering of Bitcoin. Because that doesn't sell, and it's going to get a lot of people who probably dislike the video. It's probably going to get a lot of people to, talk, like, troll me and stuff, and I've had people troll me before, but we can see exactly what's happening, right? We can see. I mean, this is just This is just, I mean, this is the overall market. You can see it. You can see all my frequency lines. My frequency lines are based on price action. It tells you exactly what is occurring between buyers and sellers. So I'm sorry for making this a 15-minute video, but I feel like somebody just needs to like have a real conversation with people out there who want to invest in Bitcoin. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of Bitcoin, but I think that those pie in the sky figures really just need to be burned out, and people need to focus on what's currently happening. And if you're a long-term investor and you're going to hold on for 5, 10, 50, or you're going to hold on forever, right? You're a holder for life. Then there's no reason for you to get involved in this. All right, if you see the dip and you believe in it and it's where you want to spend your money, then buy it. It's not my investment advice, but you do what you want with your money. From my standpoint, my perspective, there's no way I would be buying the dip now until it is confirmed that we have a higher low, and it is confirmed that we would have a higher high, and it is confirmed that the price direction is clearly changing. So until then, there's no way I would hold Bitcoin for the long term and my own personal portfolio. Okay, I'll trade Bitcoin intraday, daily, multi-day, but there's no way I would take a long-term stake based on this price action until those two things are confirmed. And I come from a background of managing tens of millions of dollars, not a very significant amount, but I've learned from people that have managed well more than that, into the hundreds of billions of dollars. And I've just never, typically, like, one of the biggest things you always look for is higher lows and higher highs. It sounds so simple, it's crazy. Everybody wants to throw on the relative strength index, the MACD, the TSI, the moving averages, blah blah blah, like volume, blah, blah, everyone goes nuts, and they have like 20,000 different indicators on the screen, and they're like, this is the time to buy, this is the time to buy. But really, it just boils down to a few things. Is the trend in your favor? And if it is, then buy when it dips and take advantage of the trend. And right now, the trend is clearly down in Bitcoin, okay? There's something seriously going on here. There's either big investors churning their positions out into the guppies, or they're beating people down as much as they possibly can and potentially create a higher low to take advantage of themselves. And then when their big buy orders come in and the market starts to go crazy like this, obviously what's going to happen. Everybody's going to pile in, and price is going to shoot higher and break above the 11,700 range. So, I just try to end it there. I could probably talk about this forever. I'm hoping that what I'm saying is making logical sense. I'm hoping that people are benefiting from it. It's not investment advice, but it's just what I've learned through my years of trading, for quite some time, trading lots of money, and it just, I don't know. Like, I just feel like in this market in particular, a lot of people got taken advantage of by the media hype, and I guess maybe that's my whole reasoning behind doing these videos and trying to talk to people on a logical standpoint, because there's so many people hyping, from social media outlets to the media. Everyone's hyping these pie in the sky figures because of what sells. I'd have 10 times the amount of subscribers I have right now if I started talking about those crazy figures. But anyways, that's it. If we don't break out at 9,600, 9,500 in the next few days, we are going to continue downward. If we break out the 7,600 zone, we are heading downward, probably in a waterfall fashion, and it'll be rather brutal, rather quickly. And if we blow out the 6,000 range, just stand back and just watch price unfold, and then try to make a logical decision from there. But right now, to me, there's some serious red flags going off on this. Even if we do get a breakout over the next few days, I still think there's some major red flags unless this final line gets broken out. So sorry for making it a 20-minute video, but I just feel like I have to really talk about some topics that not a lot of people are talking about. And to me, sometimes I take that information for granted because I've been doing this for over 9 years, and a lot of it's just literally subconscious to me, and I forget that a lot of people in this market are just getting started and they don't know what to think. And if you rely on the media, you'll get whipsawed around in your own thoughts and your own analysis, and you'll get hyped up. You know, you'll make irrational decisions like buying at 19,000, hoping for 1 million because the media is out there pumping these continuous articles and interviews and everything else out there that this Bitcoin's flying to the moon and everyone's going to become mega rich that's on it, and everybody who's not in it is the biggest idiot in the world. And literally some of the most pompous people that I've ever met in the world own Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency, and they act like somehow they're like God on planet Earth, and everybody else is an idiot compared to them. And it's literally baffling because you can see the overall price of the market. You know, there's nothing hot about this. Like, coming from an outside perspective looking at this market, there's just nothing that screams buy me now for the long term. Not a single thing. Okay, based solely on price action. And that's what my decisions are made on, solely on price action, nothing else. That's it. It's super simple for me. But anyways, I'm going to end it here because I'll keep talking, and I don't want to do that because I'm sure most people have already dropped off by now. But that's it for tonight. I'll do another video tomorrow. I hope everybody has a great day or great night. If you do like the content, you like what I'm doing, like my videos if you can, share them. Subscribe, follow, depending on what social media platform you're on. You can follow me on my Twitter. It's jdmarshall33. I just post my videos and stuff there. But if something ever happens or I'm delayed or anything like that, I can at least post it to my Twitter. Most people have a Twitter. Even if you don't use it, you probably still have one. You probably created one at one point. But I would highly advise just following me just in case something ever happens, or maybe I'm missing out on a day. I'll just do a little update there so everybody is always in the loop. But other than that, I will talk to everybody tomorrow. And again, have a great night, great day, depending on where you are. And I really, really thank you for your support, especially if you listen to me talk for 20 minutes. I really thank you for that. And hopefully it all made logical sense. And it kind of just opened your eyes to like a different perspective. So that's it. I'm not trying to create fear or anything like that. Just trying to talk about the different aspects of what is actually occurring right now in this market.